Most people in Rockville didn't know Lacey Trennor could shoot. To them, she was just that quiet girl who worked at the gas station and lived on the edge of town with her old man. She didn't talk much, always wore a cap pulled low over her face, kind to customers but never one to hang around and chat. Folks just figured she liked being alone. They had no idea. Back behind their little farmhouse, past the tool shed and the rusty chicken coop, there was a stretch of land no one ever went near. It looked like a bunch of junk, broken wood, old tires, beer cans stuck on fence posts, but to Lacey, it was a shooting range. Her dad, Dale Trennor, had built it himself when he left the army. He was a quiet man too, didn't smile much, didn't go to church or talk politics at the barber shop like the other old veterans. But every evening, when the sky started turning orange, he and Lacey would head out back. "Wind's soft tonight," he'd say, spitting into the dirt. "Let's go." Lacey would grab the old hunting rifle, Dale would carry a pair of binoculars, and they'd spend hours lining up shots. Dale never praised her much, but every time she hit a bottle clean through the neck or nicked the edge of a coin from 200 yards, he'd give a small nod. That was his way of saying she did good. She was barely 13 when she first beat him in a shooting match. By 15, he stopped challenging her. "Ain't got nothing left to teach you," he told her one night, staring down the range as if the truth stung him a bit. "You see things I never could." He was right. Lacey could read the wind just by feeling it on her cheek. She could see the way dust moved in the distance, the way leaves flipped before a gust came. Shooting wasn't just pulling a trigger to her. It was a conversation between her, the gun, and the world around her. But no one cared about that in Rockville. Not the neighbors, not the kids at school, not the folks at the grocery store. So when she turned 18, she signed up for the Army and left without looking back. Redstone Range wasn't the kind of place they put fresh recruits. It was a high-level testing facility where the Army tried out new weapons and gear. Most soldiers stationed there had years under their belt. Lacey was different. Technically, she was just a supply clerk. Push papers, organize boxes, but she didn't mind. She had her own plan. She wanted to be near the rifles. Sergeant Buck Hanley ran the weapons testing team. Big guy, loud voice, always cracking jokes with the other men. He'd been in for over 15 years, and he didn't like newcomers, especially not quiet little girls who wore second-hand boots and never laughed at his jokes. "Trennor, right? You lose, sweetheart? Supply tents that way." "I was told to drop these off here," she said, keeping her voice even. He looked over her like she was a bad sandwich. "You ever even held a real rifle, Trennor?" "Yes, Sergeant." He raised an eyebrow and grinned at the others. "She says she has, boys. Maybe we'll let her polish the long shot sometime." The long shot. That's what they called the new sniper rifle, the XM13A3 prototype. It was supposed to be the most accurate long-range weapon the Army ever built. Only a few people got to use it. Hanley was one of them. And for weeks, him and his team had been trying to hit a static target out past 2,900 meters. None of them could. Lacey watched them every chance she got. She'd linger near the back of the range tent, pretending to organize equipment, while secretly studying every movement, every shot, every wind reading. She knew what they were doing wrong. The rifle had a built-in targeting computer that adjusted the shot, but it was overcorrecting. None of them could see it, but she could. She could feel it. Then one day, something strange happened. One of the range officers twisted his ankle, and Hanley barked orders at everyone to move the gear back to the shed. Lacey was closest. She stepped in to help. "Easy, Trennor. Wouldn't want you to strain yourself." "I'm fine, Sergeant." Then she saw it. The long shot. Sitting on the table, locked and loaded. No one else around. Just her and the gun. She didn't touch it. Not yet. But her heart beat faster. Her fingers itched. That night she couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the shot, the wind, the angle. The dust swirl she saw on the hill just beyond the target, it wasn't right. The rifle was reading it as a crosswind, but it wasn't. It was heat rising from a buried rock twisting the air. The rifle didn't know that, but she did. The next morning she stood by the gear table again, pretending to check inventory. Hanley strutted by, yawning. "Still trying to look important, Trennor?" She looked at him, calm, serious. "Let me take the shot." He blinked. The other guys chuckled. "What did you say?" I can make the shot at 2950. Everyone went quiet. Hanley stared at her, then laughed hard. You, girl, you don't even qualify on half the equipment we use. I don't need the equipment. Just give me one shot. That laugh died real fast. Hanley stepped closer. You get one shot, Trennor. Just one. If you miss, you pack your gear and don't come near this range again. I won't miss.
The air at Redstone Range felt heavier that morning. Word had spread fast. Everyone wanted to see the quiet supply girl take the shot that no one else could. Soldiers who didn't even belong to the weapons division showed up early, pretending to be doing something near the back. Even some of the tech guys from the comms trailer came out just to watch. Lacey stood still, her eyes on the rifle. It sat on the shooting mat, cleaned and loaded, its long black barrel gleaming under the sun. The XM13A3 Longshot wasn't just any sniper rifle, it was the Army's pride. A $60,000 piece of gear with more sensors and processors than some helicopters. And yet, no one had been able to hit the far target with it. Not once, not even close. She took a deep breath. Sergeant Hanley leaned against a crate with his arms crossed and a smirk on his face. "You sure you don't want the scope settings, Trennor?" he asked loud enough for everyone to hear. "Or a booster seat?" The men chuckled. Lacey didn't answer. She didn't even look at him. She walked calmly to the mat, knelt down, and ran her hands slowly along the rifle's frame like it was something alive. She didn't rush. She adjusted the shoulder rest, tightened the bipod, and removed the scope's digital overlay. The Longshot's fancy tech was great if you didn't know better, but she did, and she didn't need it. She would do this her way. "Target's at 2,950 meters, one of the range officers called out. "No wind on the ground, slight heat shimmer at mid-distance." Lacey nodded, more to herself than anyone else. She already knew. The shimmer wasn't wind. It was thermal lift, caused by buried rock. The scope's AI always misread it, trying to adjust for wind that wasn't there. That's why Hanley and the others kept missing. They were trusting the machine. She wouldn't. She went prone, settled her cheek against the stock, and stared down the scope. Not through the sensors, those were off. Just plain glass. No numbers, no assist. Just her, the rifle, and the desert. It was quiet. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. From behind, she could feel Hanley's eyes digging into her. She didn't care. In her mind, she was back in Rockville, back in her backyard. Her dad standing behind her, spitting sunflower seeds and mumbling, "Trust your gut, girl." She breathed in, held it, and squeezed. The crack of the rifle shot through the air like a whip. The bullet cut across the sky, silent and invisible for almost 4 full seconds. Then came the ping. Distant, sharp, clean, direct hit. There was a beat of silence. Then, chaos. "Holy sh!" someone shouted. "She hit it! She hit it dead center! You gotta be kidding me!" Lacey stayed down for a second, longer, breathing slowly, just letting the moment pass through her. Then she sat up, calm as ever, brushing a bit of sand off her sleeve. Hanley's mouth was hanging open. Colonel Reed Mallory showed up 5 minutes later. Nobody knew he was coming, but someone must have called him right after the shot. He walked across the range with a look that was half serious, half amazed. "Who took the shot?" he asked. Hanley opened his mouth, but no words came. Lacey stepped forward. "I did, sir." "Private Trennor?" "Yes, sir." He looked her over, then glanced down at the rifle. "You use default AI?" "No, sir. I shut it off." "You made a manual shot at 2,950? "Yes, sir." Mallory nodded slowly. "Interesting." Sergeant Hanley, trying to save face, stepped in. "Sir, with all due respect, this was just a lucky fluke. She shouldn't even be here on the firing line." The colonel turned to him sharply. "And yet she's the only one who's hit the target in 3 weeks, isn't he, Sergeant?" Hanley's face stiffened. "We've had my best marksman try and fail, and here comes a private from Supply who not only calls the overcorrection, but nails it cold." The crowd around them was dead silent now. Colonel Mallory looked back at Lacey. "What's your background, Private?" "Grew up in Rockville, sir. My dad trained me since I was a kid. He was Army, too." Mallory stared at her for a moment, then turned to Hanley. "File her test footage. I want it on my desk by noon." "Sir, that's an order." Then he looked back at Lacey again, and this time his voice softened. "You did good, Private. Real good." And with that, he walked off. Hanley was fuming. That afternoon, he filed a report accusing Lacey of breaking range protocol, claiming she disobeyed direct orders and used unauthorized equipment. He never expected it to backfire. The next morning, Lacey was called into a briefing room. Sitting at the table were Colonel Mallory and a man she didn't recognize. Tall, silver hair, deep voice. "Private Trennor," he said. "I'm General Silas Boone. I run the Army's marksmanship programs across the board." She stood at attention, unsure what to expect. "I've reviewed the footage, twice. I've also read Sergeant Hanley's complaint, and I've decided to throw it out." Her heart skipped. "Instead," Boone continued, "I'm offering you a position on our long-range development team, Camp Ridgeway. Full access, advanced gear, custom training. You'll be part of something bigger." Lacey blinked. "Sir? You're not just some lucky shot," Boone said. "You're the kind we don't see often, and we'd be fools to ignore that." Colonel Mallory gave her a small smile from his seat. "Up for the challenge?" Lacey nodded, slow but sure. "Yes, sir." "Then pack your things," Boone said, standing. "You leave for Ridgeway in 2 days." As she walked out of the building, the wind picked up. Warm, dry, carrying the dust of Redstone across the open field. She looked back once, toward the range, the same place where everyone thought she didn't belong, and smiled.
Camp Ridgeway wasn't like Redstone. It was bigger, cleaner, quieter. No one was yelling. No one was cracking dumb jokes at the expense of new recruits. Everything here felt serious, focused, like every person walking past her knew what they were doing and why. Lacey stepped off the transport truck with a small bag slung over her shoulder. She didn't bring much, just some clothes, her notebook full of shooting notes, and a photo of her dad standing in their backyard with a rifle across his chest. She folded it up and kept it tucked inside her uniform. A soldier met her at the gate, gave her a map, and pointed her to the barracks. "Trennor, right? You're the one who made the shot at Redstone." She nodded. Everyone's been talking about it. That was new. Back home, no one talked about her unless she was bagging their groceries or filling up their tanks. Here, they talked because of what she did, because she earned it. Her first week at Ridgeway was full of testing. They ran her through new rifles, some of them still in prototype stages. They made her shoot under wind, under pressure, even blindfolded once. One of the instructors whispered that her scores were some of the highest they'd seen. Still, Lacey kept her head down. She didn't boast. She didn't laugh too loud or try to impress anyone. She just shot. And every time she pulled that trigger, it felt like she was back in Rockville, with her dad standing behind her. One evening, after a long session at the range, she got a message. "General Boone wants to see you." She headed to the main building, heart steady, boots crunching gravel beneath her feet. Boone sat behind his desk, same sharp eyes, same quiet power in his voice. "We've got a competition coming up. Top marksmen across every branch. I want you in it." Lacey didn't hesitate. "Yes, sir." He smiled. "Good. You're not just a shooter anymore, Trennor. You're a name." As she walked out, the sun dipped low behind the hills, casting long shadows over Camp Ridgeway. She paused, took a breath, and let the warmth hit her face. This time, she didn't feel small. She felt ready.
If you were touched by this story, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and join us in sharing good stories that matter. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next story.